All right, Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to say Call Halal Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakadash. Okay, today I'm going to be doing a video about remote neural monitoring and this whistleblower named Dr. Robert Duncan, who was a CIA whistleblower, and he basically tells his story about how the government is using these different warfare technology on civilians. All right, so this article you see here, it reads last modified 12/12/16 at 11:49 p.m. Dr. Robert Duncan needs your help. Subjects needed for research. Sign up here. All right. It says proof of Dr. Duncan's Howard attendant and a scan of one of his diplomas. Also, New Williams Benny NSA whistleblower video confirming how citizens are being tracked for harassment by NSA, feds, and police. Dr. Webster Trappel, PhD, explains how NSA spies on civilians, pass details back to police, 1.5 fusion centers, pre-state attorney generals, gang stalking, counter surveillance abuses done, etc. Lisa Lee, executive director of the Presidential Commission for the Study of Biotech Issues, say President Barack Obama is the sole reason none of this is being investigated. The Hamite. Okay. We know those are our enemies also. Anyhow, dealt with, and they knew exactly who I was when I came. They're not denying this is all going on at all. White House protest video from October 3rd, 2015, also down below. All right. It says, welcome to the page of information on Dr. Robert P. Duncan, the saint, and the issues. This great man worked with the Department of Defense, Central Intelligence Agencies, DARPA, U.S. Department of Justice, NSA, Navy, and NATO, architecting key components and systems for surveillance and warfare. He learned of corruption, system issues, and abuse which involves citizens being hurt and targeted by torture and murders. Like good men sometimes do, he gave his life to investigating and talk about what he knew to be wrong, interviewing as of today 1,000 modern victims of government high-tech directed energy-based no-touch torture and mind control, human experimentation, surveillance, electronic warfare, and covert law enforcement and military operations. In 2005, he, along with the previous head of FBI Los Angeles, Southern California, Ted Gunderson, gave testimony on these issues to the Senate Intelligence Committee, Judiciary Committee, and 23 congressional offices. Books were written, interviews with the media and radio personalities happened, and a website was created. Ultimately, no one would listen to lead the victims to suffer. The fight continues. All right, in this book right here, Project Soul Catcher, I actually got this book. I ordered it off of Amazon. I'm going to get a little bit more into that toward the end of the video, but I wanted to read a little bit from this page, and it says target individuals in Canada. So this stuff is going on all over the world. This is part of the New World Order, okay? That the Illuminati and the rich families of the world, the Rothschilds, and all those damn devils are trying to bring forth to basically stop or postpone the coming of the Messiah, Yahweh Shai. All right. So it says, how can you tell if you're a victim of electronic harassment? All right. And it shows you a diagram of different different sources that can be used through the EMF, which is electromagnetic wave frequencies. All right. So you got lamps, computers, different type of power grids, power lines, work tools, microwaves, entertainment, electronics, radar units, satellites, and cell phone towers. Okay, your cell phone, your laptop, all different type of devices that we use in our home and in our neighborhoods. All right. It says you may be a victim of electronic harassment if you experience visual distortion and hallucinations. Okay. You experience manipulation of will, emotions, feelings, and perception. You experience reading thoughts remotely, retrieving memories, implanting personalities. You experience mental inability to concentrate, disruption of ability to think rationally and independently. You experience loss of memory and knowledge. You experience inadequate states which targeted individuals have never experienced before. States of narcotic intoxication, depression, obsession, desires, and so on. You experience blurred vision. You experience burning sensations on your skin or internal organs. Artificial pains in any part of your body, including heart attack and other serious medical conditions. You feel pin pricks or various parts of your body, cramps, seizures, spasms. You feel some type of energy movement inside your body. You experience extreme head pains. You feel drop in your tracks, fatigue on a regular basis. You continually have difficulty sleeping, control of sleep patterns, sleep deprivation, and uncontrollable sleep. You experience forced speech, manipulation of human behavior, forced speech, involuntary body movements, transmission of specific commands into the subconscious. Man, and just so on, man. Just a whole bunch of terrible things that this technology has the capability of doing to the human brain and body. All right. Okay, so a lot of those conditions that I just read can give you basically make you have mental illness. Okay, because some of this stuff. Hold on, I left something out, Salakia. Okay, yeah, it's the V2K voice to score is a weapon used for transmitting voices with low or high frequency. Voices, Salakia. Voices can be for commands or harassment attacks that may look like the TI's own voice. V2K can also be used to induce or manipulate dreams or to deprive TIs of sleep. Okay, so you can hear voices to take commands from whoever is doing this to you, and they can probably, I'm pretty sure they can make it sound like Anybody wanted to make it sound like, and I'm gonna get into that a little later in the video also. Okay. Uh, so you see these voices being put in your head, man. That's basically causing you to like schizophrenia, and you don't even have schizophrenia. It's induced schizophrenia. Okay. So this is what our president always continues to talk about every time we have one of these mass shootings. He likes to say that it's mental illness and hate. Okay, as you see that I just read to you, this stuff causes mental illness, and it can also cause hate because it actually can induce hatred in the target's mind. Okay, so let's listen to Trump talk about one of these mass shootings that we had. He's going to make it very clear about mental illness being a reason for the mass shootings.
Better job of identifying and acting on early warning signs. I am directing the Department of Justice to work in partnership with local, state, and federal agencies, as well as social media companies, to develop tools that can detect mass shooters before they strike.
Okay, now we know that he just said he working with local, state, and federal agencies to detect when someone might become a mass shooter. Okay, but as you just heard me read, Dr. Robert Duncan's studies say that the government is the one who's making the weapons. So they're basically making order out of chaos, as they always do. That's their motto. Okay, order out chaos. Okay, that's what they do. All right, let's move on.
As an example, the monster in the Parkland High School in Florida had many red flags against him, and yet nobody took decisive action. Nobody did anything. Why not? Second, we must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace.
Okay, now once again, this guy is he's basically setting the stage so he can he's basically setting the stage so he can basically lead people into captive. And I have a precept for that, and it's Revelations 13 and 10. Okay, and it reads here. Okay, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. All right. Here is the patience of the faith of the saints. All right. So we see here, this guy here is trying to lead people into captivity by basically setting a trap, because I just read to you guys that the U.S. government is the one making people have mental illness. Okay. And they actually inducing hate into people's minds also. Okay, so let's listen to him a little bit more here.
It is too easy today for troubled youth to surround themselves with a culture that celebrates violence. We must stop or substantially reduce this, and it has to begin immediately. Cultural change is hard.
Oh yeah, and then another thing, he says that video games also, right? He says video games cause this mental illness, a glorification of violence, right? But check this out. Okay. Right here, it says the United States, the U.S. remains to be the top country in the world for designing games, as well as the place where people spend the most money on video games entertainment by far. Its market is nearly twice the size of the next largest country, and sales are projected to grow here by 4.6% in a year through 2015. Okay, so these, like I just said, these guys are making a problem and then bringing a solution. This is exactly what they're doing. Okay, and this is Esau's blessing. Okay, because we know that Esau is a cunning hunter, right? And I have that also here. Let's see. It's Genesis. This precept is Genesis 25 and 27. All right. Let's see. It says, and it reads, and the boys grew, talking about Esau and Jacob. And Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Okay, so what he's doing is they're using their their different tools and instruments to basically they're setting traps. Basically they're setting traps for the Hebrew Israelites mainly, but they're setting traps for that way that they can say that, well, this is the problem. But okay, you the one who made our country is the country that makes the most video games. So why is that? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Now that they're saying that the video games are the problem. Okay, so let's finish listening to this guy here.
But each of us can choose to build a culture that celebrates the inherent worth and dignity of every human life. That's what we have to do. Third, we must reform our mental health laws to better identify mentally disturbed individuals who may commit acts of violence, and make sure those people not only get treatment, but when necessary, involuntary confinement.
Okay, so you see that he said involuntary confinement. Okay, so this goes back into Revelations 13 and 10. He that lead in captivity shall go into captivity. Okay, because this guy here is trying to say that these people, mainly the Hebrew Israelites, mainly, They trying to classify it. Well, they already have painted the picture of us being a hate group. Okay, so this is Slakia. This is that's why they're making these laws. That's why they're making these laws. Okay, so they can trap you. That's all that is. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's finish up this video.
Mental illness and hatred pulls the trigger, not the gun. Fourth, we must make sure that those judged to pose a grave risk to public safety do not have access to firearms, and that if they do, those firearms can be taken through rapid due process. That is what... Okay,
now another thing I need to mention about this guy being a hypocrite. He says that we need to stop glorifying violence, okay? But I don't know if you guys remember, but this guy made a speech about when they captured the Al-Qaeda leader, supposedly, and
last night,
this is what he had to say about it.
Brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead.
He dead, okay?
He was the founder and leader of ISIS, the most ruthless and violent terror organization anywhere in the world.
In America, it's the most ruthless and violent terrorist organization.
For Baghdadi for many years. Capturing or killing Baghdadi has been the top national security priority of my administration. U.S. Special Operations Forces executed a dangerous and daring nighttime raid in northwestern Syria and accomplished their mission in grand style. The U.S. personnel were incredible. I got to watch much of it.
So he glorifying this right now.
Personnel were lost.
You know, and everybody watches
operation.
this. You know, it's
While a large
children
number
can watch
of
this. Whoever can watch this.
Baghdadi's fighters and companions were killed with him. He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way.
So if that's not glorifying, I don't know what it is. Okay, and I got another scripture for that. Is Matthew 23 and 27, chapter 23, 27 through 28. Okay, and just bear with me just 1 second. Let's see, 23, and it reads, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisee hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanliness." Okay? "Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity." Okay? So this guy right here he's a hypocrite, okay? That's exactly what he is. All right? Because that was all glory. He was just glorifying that whole thing right there. All right?
Cleared by this time, with people either surrendering or being shot and killed. 11 young children were moved out of the house and are uninjured. The only ones remaining were Baghdadi in the tunnel, and he had dragged 3 of his young children with him. They were led to certain death. He reached the end of the tunnel as our dogs chased him down. He ignited his vest, killing himself and the 3 children. His body was mutilated by the blast. The tunnel had caved in on it in addition.
And they most likely killed the children
gave
trying to kill him.
Immediate and totally positive identification. It was him.
But anyhow, back to the mental illness part of it, okay?
Why I have called for red flag laws.
So they
also
doing red
known as
flag laws.
Extreme risk protection orders.
Extreme risk, okay? So, this guy's he's using these key words, extreme, you know, extreme risk. This is like they're saying that the Hebrew Israelites are black identity extremists, when truly who was the identity extremist is Esau. Esau is the identity extremist. He the one made up white and black. Okay?
Today, I'm also directing the Department of Justice to propose legislation ensuring that those who commit hate crimes and mass murders face the death penalty, and that this capital punishment be delivered quickly.
So they committed all type of mass murders, you know, killing off all the Native Americans, you know, majority of the Native Americans, killing all of our ancestors. But this is the capital punishment that they want to give capital punishment to these people who's doing the mass shootings, which they're creating. They create, the U.S. government creates mass shooters, okay? As I just read to you in the mind control part of this video. But I also have the book Project Soul Catcher right here, right? And I'm gonna read some of the stuff that Dr. Robert Duncan blew the whistle on before he mysteriously passed away. All right. So on page two, what is it? On page 209, it tells you about a project that the CIA uses, and it's called radio hypnotic intracerebral control electronic distillation of memory. And the abbreviations for this is EDM. Okay, and I'm gonna show it to you right here. Okay, EDM. Okay, so you guys see that, right? And it says memory recall is like memory refreshing in a computer chip, a board. Random access dynamic memory requires a hardware refresh to keep it charged and data. It is a read-write operation that must be done every 10 milliseconds or so. This is why a person's computer can instantly start after a power failure. Human memory operates differently but has the same properties in common. Human memory improves with each exposure to the sensory input. Short-term and long-term memory also operates differently in the brain and use different biochemical mechanisms. Long-term potentiation usually occurs during sleep, but what is particularly interesting about long-term memory is that it can be altered a similar way as dynamic random access memory drum. Okay, the neuroscientists duped to work for the Science and Technology Division of the U.S. use a couple tricks to erase and alter memories, then diagnosed as false memory syndrome by psychologists. Okay, so you see, they're causing all these problems with people's minds, right? Okay, and then another thing I want to talk about is that EDM. Okay, why would you name a program EDM, even though it may have the letters for it? But come on, man, what's the coincidence of that? But then you sit here and say, oh, we don't. Who is Esau? You're Esau. This shit right here got Esau written all over it. Esau Edom right here. Okay. So this is what they're doing, and they're experimenting on their own citizens. Okay. And I know because I suffer from this. Okay. And what I want to talk about is this thing they got called the voice of God weapon, which is right here. Okay. Voice of God, right? And I'm going to read a little bit of it. Okay. Here we go. Right here. All right. This is a researcher side notes. This is the researcher's side notes right here. And if you guys could pause it, y'all can read it on your own time, but I'm going to read it to you. Okay. It says, interview with a interrogation target using biocommunications and the newer biocommunications technology doppelganger and spoofing trickery is used to remotely interrogation and mind control program. Interviewer quotations explain the kind of spoofing used on you. Okay. Interviewee, you'll get a kick out of this. They had the voices of all my relatives, friends from college, and even my dead grandmother. I came from a very educated family. They did their best at using these voices. They did their best at using these voices to convince me that they conspired to put a brain chip in me. The voices were excellent, but the speech patterns were crowded and not how my family speaks. They also got my name wrong. I used different variations of my name during my lifetime. Each character used the wrong name. I told the interrogator that this, and they got very angry. They said it was gross incompetence from their research team and never to bring it up again. Okay? So you see, this is exactly what I'm saying. They got this thing called it's called a chatterbox. And the chatterbox is what they have your relatives' voices set inside of a supercomputer. Okay? It's a supercomputer. And it's all in this book. So if you have the money to buy it, I would recommend you get it and read it. But all that stuff is actually in the scripture. So these, they got the voice of God weapon, and they naming all these different programs after different things out of the scriptures. Okay, different things that are in the actual books. Okay, the actual scriptures from the Bibles. Okay, and this is the chatterbox. This is the chatterbox right here. Okay, the chatterbox is a term used in the intelligence community. It means a gross aggregate of communication via any media. Okay, it is also used when sampling the mental chatter of the population. Okay, and so on. But this chatterbox, it continuously talks into a person's psyche in their mind all day long, 24/7. And it says the U.S. has broken every one of the treaties of automatic killing machines, non-consensual human experimentation, invisible electromagnetic directed energy weapon systems. Okay, the U.S. has this stuff. All right, it's right there. If you can read it, it's right there. All right. So the U.S. is using this stuff on us, and it says the chatterboxes are used to drive people insane. Okay, help and train the cognitive functions of the brain, depattern personality use, psychological depression, split personality program assassins, and even deprogram them. Okay, so all these mass shooters, they're programmed assassins. Okay, and this fucking guy right here, he knows about it, and all his colleagues know about it. Okay, because they all have come together to cut us down from being a nation. Okay, and it's in the scriptures. I don't know the exact one right now, because I've been wanting to get this stuff out, but it makes me upset every time I see it. But I'll try to do better on my next video. But anyhow, I just want to say, call halal Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem Krokadash.